When people describe Demon Slayer, you're far more likely to hear them say it's basic, simple, or mid than deep or compelling. But is that accurate? After doing some research, I believe Demon Slayer is deeper than you thought. And today I'm going to show that by talking about 3 things it excels at: symbolism, emotional depth, and foreshadowing. Also, while researching this video, I spoiled myself on multiple things coming in the movies that I never would have anticipated, so I hope you guys appreciate this video because it cost me dearly. Something that is really slept on with Demon Slayer is their use of symbolism. The most obvious example is each Demon Slayer's breathing style is a visual metaphor of who they are. Rengoku is fierce and vibrant, like fire. Tengen is loud, fast, and flashy, like sound. Muichiro is still and quiet, like mist. Shinobu can either be calm like a butterfly, or toxic. Sanemi is destructive like a tornado. Obanai is ruthless and cold like a snake. Giyu is calm like water. Gyome is strong like stone, and like someone in love, Mitsuri, per usual, gets screwed. This applies to every character, not only the Hashira. Muzan himself is symbolic of many things, such as immortality, but the one that stands out to me is, as a demon, he embodies the worst of human nature. Muzan can do anything he wants, except for one thing. To get that one thing, he will destroy the entire world, regardless of the cost. There is nothing more human than wanting the one thing you can't have. Like, I don't know, Sydney Sweeney. It's pure psychology at work and a beautiful detail of the character. You can extend this to sun breathing. That big round circle in the sky is the source of all life, and sun breathing is the source of all breathing forms. In the Hashira training arc during Ubuyashiki's speech, the dragon and tiger represent yin and yang, a perfect balance. The line about waking the tiger means Muzan has upset the balance of the world, and repercussions for doing so are on the way. In Mugen Train, when the passengers with insomnia, guess I missed my invite, invade the dreams of the Demon Slayers to destroy their emotional cores, those cores all represent who that individual is. For example, Tanjiro's soul looks and feels like heaven, which is reflecting how pure of heart he is. While we're on Mugen Train, let's get back to the thumbnail of the video. I'm sure we all remember Rengoku's introduction on the train when savoring each bite of his bento box. On the surface, it's a fun and silly introduction, but it may also hold meaning that foreshadows his death. Hundreds of years ago, I read that it was samurai tradition to savor every meal because it could be your last. Demon Slayers are essentially samurai, and Rengoku savoring what was literally his last meal seems to fit. I think we can all agree Demon Slayer doesn't have a complex plot, but that doesn't mean that the writing is simple or devoid of any depth. It's character-driven as opposed to plot-driven, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, the greatest example that the writing is strong is how excellent the characters are. Yes, I know we aren't that far removed from a video I made saying Demon Slayer failed Mitsuri, but nothing is perfect. Tengen is a fantastic example. Everything about his character is so clearly and consistently written. He grew up in a clan that valued the mission over everything. His rejection of that led him to place tremendous value on individuality, which is why he becomes such an eccentric and flashy character. It all stems from the loathing of his upbringing. Despite that, there's a lingering trauma from this. That flashy exterior hides his insecurities underneath. The way he fights directly stems from his strengths as a shinobi. Realistically, he simply trades in his family's mission for Ubuyashiki's. His fight with Gyotaro makes him realize what's important to him and is finally able to place himself before the mission. The tragedy of Gyome is heartbreaking. We only saw a few minutes of his story, but it gripped me instantly. A kind man born blind, who spends his time doing good and teaching children, except those children are murdered in front of him, and despite protecting the only child remaining, Sayo, he takes the fall for it. It's not only a tragic backstory, it's an interesting look at his life. He could either live out his life in peace, never knowing how powerful he is, or he could suffer terrible losses, but find his strength could make sure that that never happens again. It's an interesting dilemma. Also, if he doesn't get his thank you by the end of the series, I will lose it. There's a lot of beauty in Muichiro's story as well, a boy so impacted by trauma that he loses his sense of self and all of his memories. He unknowingly takes on his brother's more abrasive personality before being forced to confront his past and find a purpose to move forward. That's even expanded on in the Hashira training arc, where we see him learn how to relate to others better after being completely unable to do so early on. Gyutaro and Daki are meant to contrast with Tanjiro and Nezuko, but also against each other. He felt vile and disgusting, but was powerful, while she felt beautiful but helpless, creating a toxic balance between the two. Foreshadowing and long-term storytelling, when done right, are some of my favorite aspects of entertainment, and Demon Slayer is exceptional at this. The first scene in the anime is basically representative of the entire series, Tanjiro moving forward on a perilous journey to save Nezuko. It's literally the entire story. There's another moment in the first episode where Nezuko tells Tanjiro that everyone seems to follow him everywhere he goes. Not only does that sum up who he is, a man who inspires others in the vein of Rengoku, but in the last episode of the anime, literally every Hashira follows him as he's the one to make a first move on Muzan. Also in that first episode, when we first see Nezuko after the demon attack, she's laying out protecting her brother. Yes, I know sunlight is what kills demons, not simply being out in the daytime, but I'm pretty sure this is the only time we see a demon out exposed in the day in the entire series. And guess what? Nezuko is the only demon who can survive in the day. It was right there in episode 1. I mean, look at the visual, how she's just outside the darkness. Personally, I think that was intentional, but I could be wrong. We see Sabito early on in season 1, and his spirit helps Tanjiro in his training. Skip forward to the Hashira training arc, and we see Sabito is the reason why Giyu became a Hashira, while also exploring his death, tying it all together. The entire storyline with the blue spider lily was beautifully laid out. Like a Deku shipper, this has been an obsession for Muzan. When he walks down an alley in season 1, a passerby says he looks dead, and it completely triggers him. Muzan terrorizes the man, and then asks him, does he look sickly or unhealthy? At the time, you don't understand this, but it all ties back to his past, which we learned about at the end of the Swordsmith Village, where there are a lot of other connections with Muzan's first appearance. The whole reason he ended up as a demon was because a doctor worked on him while he was ill, looked sickly and unhealthy. This insecurity is why he wants to find the blue spider lily, so he can survive the sun. This is referenced numerous times, but we never understood the what or the why until the end of the Swordsmith Village, where it not only contextualizes everything, but it flips the most emotional moment of the series to date from happy to terrifying. Sticking with the early Muzan stuff, the first time Tanjiro meets him, he tells him, "My blade will be the last thing you see." And without knowing the ending, I'm guessing those words will end up being prophetic. This might be me looking too much into things, but the first appearance with Muzan foreshadows the moment with Nezuko in the Swordsmith Village too. Muzan scratches a human and they transform into a demon. Tanjiro has to decide between helping them or going after Muzan. He can't decide. This dilemma again presents itself when Nezuko is in the sun and Hantengu is going after some villagers. Once again, Tanjiro can't decide, only this time Nezuko chooses for him. It also ties back to the end of the Hashira training arc, where he doesn't hesitate attacking Muzan. There's a cool moment in Season 2, Episode 6, where you can faintly hear a heartbeat, and we're told that Tanjiro's heart rate is rising. It's not too long after that we see him manifest a mark. In the Hashira training arc, we learned that a high heart rate is one of the conditions for achieving a mark, a subtlety I really liked. Finally, and I'm going strictly off rumors here, but apparently the way the Demon Slayers are falling into the Infinity Castle has meaning too, though I don't know in what way. I'm sure there are plenty more that are yet to play out, but I've spoiled myself enough. With that, I'm out.